The following program is paid for by the Charlie Butler team. Looking for tips on selling your home? Tune in to the Charlie Butler Show right here on WGBF AM every Sunday at 9 a.m. The Charlie Butler Show, where your questions get answers. Charlie guarantees it.
Good Sunday morning, Tri-State. This is the Charlie Butler Real Estate Show. I'm joining my normal cast this morning. Notice I didn't call you cast of clowns or anything like that, like I normally do. We'll save that till we get around to Candace. But anyway, But to my left, of course, is David Crow. David is the, for those that don't listen regularly, is the regional director for Churchill Mortgage for Indiana and Kentucky. So, David, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great, Charlie. Hope everybody out there listening is doing great as well. So, happy Sunday morning.
Happy Sunday to you. At the end of the table, staying as far away from David and I as you can, is Candace DeArmond. And Candace, you're looking beautiful as always.
Well, thank you, Charlie.
And
how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Good morning. And also talk about beautiful women. Right next to her is the stunning blonde Stephanie Robles. And Stephanie is an agent at Keller Williams, but has a very interesting story we're going to get into more today. You may have heard Stephanie last week. And but we're going to get into that more today. And good morning, Stephanie.
Good morning, Charlie. Thank you for having me.
Well, you're quite welcome. Thanks for coming. And I can't tell with a beard. I heard the rumor that Jordan had a neck tattoo.
It's a Velmo, I think.
A Velmo,
Yeah.
It's a Velmo.
If you guys could see Jordan and then hear that voice come out of him.
It really is confusing to the senses.
That was good.
Tickle me, Elmo. That's what he tells his girlfriend all the time. Johnny Carson did a bit like that one time, but I better not repeat it either.
You should not.
All the things Johnny and them got away with back in the 70s and 80s on TV.
Oh, man.
I see those on reels and stuff.
Johnny was great.
Johnny was the greatest. I mean, he really was.
He really
go back and look at some of these interviews. Really a class act.
Would not fly today.
No, many of the
Canceled
topics
immediately.
would not fly.
Wow.
But he talked about just about everything.
Anything and everything was open for discussion. Yes, it was.
That was Zsa Zsa Gabor. You remember Zsa Zsa Gabor?
Oh, yeah.
Was his guest, and she had a cat with her. And you can imagine.
I can imagine where Johnny, with that little smirk and smile, went with that.
I'm seeing it in my mind's eye.
Zsa walked off.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
I'm going to look that one up.
Yeah.
YouTube that. YouTube that.
But anyway, you know who was on Johnny Carson the most times? I heard this the other day.
Gosh, no, who?
Bob Uecker.
Bob Uecker, really?
Bob.
Now, I was going to say a lot of the younger people are going, who?
Yeah. Stephanie and I are definitely
scratching our heads over here.
Bob Uecker's comedian. But he was also a professional baseball player.
Yep.
But played for the Cardinals and the Braves mainly. But he's been for probably 50 years. He's been the play-by-play announcer for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Oh,
the guy. Okay, did you ever? What's the movie that where
Major League was the one? Major League with Charlie Sheen and
Bob Uecker is the announcer. In Major League.
Yep.
Okay.
And then he had a TV show for a while.
I was going to say,
I can't think of the name of it.
He wasn't a spring chicken back in the late 80s or early 90s whenever Major League came out. Tom Berenger, Charlie Sheen, Wesley Snipes. I watched it. These were college years.
Yeah.
And the one-liners, one after the other in that movie. And I can remember like 4, 5, 6 guys in a dorm room or whatever, and we were getting ready to head out, and Major League would come on. We're like, all right, let's sit down. So old Bob Uecker on there.
Yep. And Bob Uecker, remember, and I don't know if you guys, how big of baseball fans you guys are, but you remember Phil Niekro and his knuckleball.
Now, Charlie, you're getting more specific on us.
Okay. I think I'm the only person in the room that knows what
he's
Okay.
Phil Niekro threw a knuckleball that catchers hadn't. And a knuckleball doesn't go fast, but it just goes all over the place. My hand just waving back. I mean, they don't really know where it's going to go. And the batters sometimes the guys are good at it, have a hard time hitting it. Well, they asked Uecker one time, said, how do you catch Niekro? He said, I'm his personal catcher. He says, it's easy. He said, you wait. He said, you wait until the ball quits rolling. and you pick it up.
Uger was a comedian. I give him that.
But he had more appearances on Johnny Carson than anyone.
Huh.
Never knew that.
I didn't until recently. Anyway, so a fun fact there. David, I know we're taping here, but we think that the interest rates are probably headed the right direction right now.
They are definitely headed the right direction right now. Purse strings are loosening up, and we're expecting a 50% basis cut in September from the Federal Reserve. And you'll see myself and probably other lenders already starting to reflect that in pricing and interest rates. So that kind of leads me into a little fun fact.
Okay.
And so, folks, first thing I'm going to say is you hear me say rates are moving down. You think, oh, great, I need to go buy a home, which is right. Mm-hmm. Okay? Get out there. You need to buy a home. But let me give you a fun fact for people who have been sitting around waiting for prices to drop, which they have not. I'll lead to that. Or they've been saying, I'm waiting for interest rates to drop. So we'll go back to 2022, okay, kind of out of the pandemic. Since 2022, really, we all know this, since 21, people bought, but in 22, I just saw the numbers on this. If you bought a home in 22 and you go back to the median price point of 2022, it was $350,000, okay? Since 2022, for the last 2.5 years, we have experienced around 6% appreciation per year, which means in that 2.5 year period, it really works out the numbers to about 17% appreciation, which on the median home, it's $60,000 of equity. So someone who keeps waiting doesn't understand, and we all know in the market, our inventory is so tight, so limited. Home values are only going to consistently right now go up, so you need to be buying. But people who did buy went ahead and took a higher rate, knowing they're going to refinance, okay? They've enjoyed 17% appreciation in the last 2.5 years. So that's a little fun fact that leads people to...
Well, something we always say is you buy the home, you date the rate.
Date the rate. These rates are, myself and all lenders, we are held to such high standards to make sure we do not qualify you for a home you cannot afford, okay? So as long as anything shy of, quote-unquote, losing your job, all right, and not replacing, which that's a different conversation, everyone that's gotten qualified for a home should have no problem making their mortgage payments. And so even though they may have been paying a little bit more per month, the appreciation they have experienced and been privileged to, and who knows, maybe they turn around the next year as rates do drop, we need more homes on there, they sell and they make a good amount of money. So that's just a little fun fact there.
And I can say that with David has always been very honest with the people because there's the one I'm thinking of, David, is we had we represent a couple builders, but we had new construction that another lender had approved them for, and a lender we'd had some issues with, but that's another story. But so they keep extending it, and so I talked to the builder and said, well, he gave me a couple of lenders. One of them was David. He said, I want one of these people to look at it. And he said, if they say it's good to extend, we'll extend it. Yeah, it says. And so it's $230,000. And David calls me and he says, oh, yeah. He said, these people are approved. That it's not a problem for 180.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
And good folks. Great for 180.
Yeah.
Not great for 230.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know what the other lender was thinking. Why they kept going down a pathway of creating work. It's kind of like a realtor working for free.
Or
why would you?
is.
I don't know. But no, they were great folks at 180, not 230.
There is, I don't, and I'm not going to speak for Stephanie and Candace because I'm not sure what's but I have lenders ask me, what's the most important thing to you? To me, and I always tell what I believe. Tell me the truth. If the people are bad and they can't buy anything, tell me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because I'm sure Candace and you guys and Stephanie, you guys are the same way. You don't want to waste your time.
Well, or waste their time.
Or waste their time.
Or
Anyone's.
jump ship to another lender in the middle of everything.
Exactly.
That's my least favorite thing to do. Not saying I won't do it if we're not getting it done somewhere, and we got to jump ship to another lender.
Yeah, you'll take care of your client.
Right,
yeah,
I'll do that, but I want to know up front what I'm dealing with.
Typically, what I see on my end is, unfortunately, the other lender maybe just didn't know what they were doing, and that's it. Charlie, to your example you just gave, I really believe the other lender really didn't know what they were doing, and they were grabbing at straws. And folks, I can tell you, nationwide, the market is way down. We know that in real estate sales. It's with lending, it is, and I think it leaves desperation with some individuals, and they think I'm gonna do everything I can, and then hope and pray that an underwriter at the very end puts a stamp of approval, which is not going to happen,
right?
And so it strings everyone along in a false sense. And I stay busy, and I'm blessed. And I do try to be very honest with everyone and set realistic expectations. And I have no problem saying they're not good now, okay?
Right.
But I just gave them a plan on, whatever their plan is to pay off, do things. Don't hear me say pay off and run out there and reopen up that 10-year-old bad debt. There's proper things to do to elevate someone's credit score, or it could be just waiting for raises to come around on employment. Things that get their debt to income in line for the price point of homes they're looking at. And so, Charlie, I know with me and working with realtors, they want honesty. They want communication to know where everything is in the process. And I feel like I'm one of those people that no one ever comes back at the end and says, well, we had no idea. David didn't tell us anything. It just doesn't happen with me. So, but I know other individuals in this industry, as I speak to realtors, that's not their story.
That isn't. It's I think, David, like the deal that you and I did, that was probably one of my first experiences where I got regular updates, regular communications, regular emails. Like I knew every single step and stone that file was going through, and was greatly appreciated. It changed. I mean, it's a game changer.
It really is. Yeah, it really is.
And I can say this,
Candace, what's most important?
Well, go to Candace.
Communication for sure, and somebody who's qualified. I mean, that's
that really does know what they're doing.
Right, a lender that actually,
I think I know I can speak for you here, Candace, but is you go out. And we've all done it. We show somebody a house they're not pre-approved yet, and they love this $400,000 house.
Right,
love it. They're ready to write an offer on it, and they're approved for $250. And then you try to give them $250. What happens?
They think $250 looks like a shack. It's dumb. Like,
I didn't know what she was going to say.
Well, that's what happened.
We were all
I heard that S come out.
I know. I did too.
We were all on the edge of our seats just now.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say what you'd say in the office.
No, clean it up for the radio.
But
that is a huge challenge.
Yes,
there's no question.
Definitely.
Once somebody gets fixated, especially on a much elevated price point, and then stepping down to what is a beautiful and perfectly fine home.
Yeah, they would have been fine looking at that.
Now Charlie cleaned it up. He at least moved them to $250.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, I was getting ready to say. The phrase that I heard many years ago said, what in the world? These people can't finance cheese on a Whopper. What are they out there doing?
I know.
He at least moved them down to $250. I've seen it where it's no. We're on the 12-month rehab program on credit, debt, and everything.
Right.
So,
I had a lender one time, owner of a mortgage company, he was a big investor too. Candace knows the story. And of course, a lot of these guys know each other, these investors.
Oh, yeah.
I represented another one, had a house listed for him. And so the guy with his company pre-approved him. Well, this was before loan officers had to have license.
The MLS license there. So.
And so anyway, they're approved. Well, I keep calling her. I don't want to bother him with it.
Right.
Because they're going to be clear to close in about a week. Going to be clear to close, and it just keeps going on. Well, the investor that's got the house says, "Hey, call blank, and go over. Ask him just ask him to take a look at this." And so I did. He called me back. It was less than a half hour. He said, "Charlie, if they walked in here with a sack of cash, I'd have to see 2 IDs.
It's exactly. The lending times have changed, but it is, my past life, and folks, we could talk, and unfortunately it happens. My past life, I was responsible for getting houses closed. It wasn't in lending as part of it, and thought someone was good, and I did the same thing. I called the owner of a brokerage mortgage company. I said, man, you got to check on this. I don't feel like I'm getting a true story. And he called me back and was overly apologetic, only to learn that the lender, the loan officer, hadn't even pulled credit yet on this person that was under contract. So anyway, that would.
Well, back in those days, they just hoped they hope there'd be a new program.
Folks, I don't do that.
Yeah.
But people are like, how it happens.
Yeah.
But we promised people last week we were going to talk about Stephanie's story.
Yeah.
And
Let's do it.
So Stephanie, I'll set that. Now I didn't know about the Maryland part, but that's not even where I was going with this.
Yeah.
Was so before you got back in real estate, what were you doing then, and what you still do?
So what we were doing is, I had moved me and my 3 children to Indiana. I have family here. I've got roots here. And when it was time to plant, and when it was time to just be like, we need to get to a safer space, need a more manageable space, we chose, Indiana was the place to be. I went to USI. I got enrolled in school there, and I went into the imaging sciences program. And what that entails is basically anything that has to do with like your x-ray, your CAT scans, ultrasounds, MRIs, anything under that.
Yeah, you said that evil word, didn't you?
Yeah.
That MRI thing.
Anything under that radiology umbrella. USI has a fantastic program, and it's a bachelor's program that you can go through and get a good job. And so that was my goal, is to get a solid, stable foundation for my family. I was going to be the only sole financial provider. So that was like the biggest step one, right? So put myself through school, have tons of student loans to do that with, right? Get my kids all, acclimated and established to this Southern living style, because we came from Maryland. We came from the city. We were not used to cornfields everywhere. I got lost every single time I left the house. I got lost.
You live in Mount Vernon, right?
Yeah, I live in Mount Vernon.
How the hell do you get lost in Mount Vernon?
Well, I mean,
I got lost in Mount Vernon once.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens. You get on a country road out there, and it's like, and the cornfields are high.
Your GPS stops working.
It does.
GPS stops working.
And and don't forget, I came from the East Coast, so I had an East Coast cell service. So out here, nothing, crickets. I mean, I'd have a good GPS for about 5 minutes, and then done. We're done. You're lost. So anyway,
don't use Candace as a backup though, because Candace once. Candace once calls me. We're talking on the phone, and she calls me, and she was going to turn off there on 64.
I had shown a house in Owensville.
She showed a house, and she's going to go on 60. Turn off, go the east side on I-69. So she called. We're talking, and she says, am I supposed to pass the Holland exit?
Oh, gosh. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Familiar. That's familiar.
Stephanie's like, what's wrong with this story? I understand.
I don't remember this before.
Yeah. What happened? Yeah.
And then one time I was in Francisco. Remember, it took me like 2 hours to get from Francisco, Indiana. GPS would not work. That's a nightmare town.
I've heard.
Get lost in Francisco.
Well, I did.
Give us a task, and we'll do it. We'll manage to figure that out.
Okay.
So, So
okay, you're lost in Mount Vernon.
Lost in Mount Vernon. Anyway, go through USI, graduate their program.
Once you found it.
Yeah, once I found it. It was 4 years of just madness. Thank God I had lots of family and lots of friends that pitched in. My kids were young, so it was like getting them from school, getting them to this and getting them to that. And then the plan was, okay, so I have all this student loan debt, right? How am I going to pay this off? Because working at the hospital, I mean, I could walk my way up that ladder as far as I could go and still never be able to pay these things off until I'm 80. So I was like, all right, well, real estate, you know how to do that. I know how to do that. I can sell houses. I'll go back in real estate. And so that's what we did. That's what I did. Yeah. Went back into real estate. So now,
doing both jobs.
So now doing both careers. Yeah.
Careers.
I treat each one like a career. So I work
Yep.
full time with Deaconess Hospital and MRI. I work on the weekends. I do the third shift there. And so, I go in Friday night at 7. I kind of, if I've got open houses on the weekend, we kind of plan, at least I'll sleep for 6 hours.
Yeah.
I do all of my marketing ahead of time, kind of set.
You're a mother of 3 children.
Yeah.
You only need 3 hours of sleep a night.
That's probably all I get.
1 hour per child.
Well, I've got 2 17-year-olds at the house with their twins and they're girls, so I don't sleep. Okay, I
you
don't
sure
sleep.
don't.
Yeah, I don't sleep. So anyway,
Watch out for Stephanie. She is tough.
Yeah,
I am going to give that to her.
I got one eye open all the time.
Yeah.
But so that's how we did it. That's how I did it. And so the real estate is really starting to pay off, and it's helping me just kind of climb out of that debt that student loan creates for you. And what I do is I'm just very, very, I don't want to say organized because I don't think that's the right word, but I'm very meticulous with planning and making sure, like, if I've got something that's going to happen, everything needs to be happened or scheduled ahead of time.
You said planning, but before you said it, I was thinking efficiency.
Yeah.
You've got to be efficient with your time.
You do have to be.
Yeah.
You'd have to be.
Now, I do want to say time management is always, that's a journey. I don't think, I think that's something that you always need to practice mastering regardless. And for some reason, you just won't ever get it maybe. But in college, here's where it's helped. In college was same thing. I had to schedule classes a certain way. I had to schedule study time. I had 3 jobs when I was putting myself through college too. So everything had to fit in a time slot. And so I'm a little bit OCD about it, but it's kind of how I run my life now. If the kids got to go shopping for school, we're getting ready to do
this is big time right now.
We're getting ready to do back to school shopping. So I'm saying, okay, here's where I have time on these days. So I'm making myself available. You got to make yourself available because we've got a time slot to put that in. So the kids, it's kind of annoying, right? But they get it, and they understand that what I'm doing is providing a life for them now. And yeah, it's a little bit hectic, and sometimes nobody knows where I'm at, whether that's voluntary or involuntary. I might be lost.
The 17-year-olds don't realize that she's actually 2 cars behind you.
Or what's really good is when they realize that mom actually has a life also.
Yeah.
Like, Mom, where are you at?
None of your business.
Yeah, none of your business. But yeah, so far it's been really, really rewarding. It took, I don't know, it's taken a while to kind of get that established, I wasn't always on the third shift, and so working a day shift at the hospital and trying to do real estate, that was super challenging.
Yeah.
So what I did was just move myself into a position where I could focus on my business during the week 24/7 when I needed to, while still having a career that I also love that provides the benefits that we need as a family.
That's huge.
Yes. That is a huge
absolutely.
difference. So, yeah.
Would you like? But would you? I think we've talked about this. Would you like to be able to just do one? Because I know we talk about real estate basically has, a higher income potential.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's the goal, So when I decided that I would juggle these two things, when I decided, okay, you got to be 110% in each of these areas of your life. Otherwise, your career is going to lack here or your career is going to lack there, but you got to be good at both of these things, So I was like, okay, if that's what I got to do. Well, let's establish a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan, because no, I won't be able to work at the hospital forever. No, I won't be able to physically move patients or be, kind of do that physical aspect of my job. It's going to take a toll on me eventually. So what's the plan? You just come up with a plan. Like, all right, real estate's my exit strategy. It's my retirement plan. I got a really late start on my career, so my retirement is not up there like somebody who's been saving.
You're only 31, right?
Can we edit this out? Yeah. I actually just turned 45 this year, which I'm
No way.
super proud of. Yes.
So you and Candace are almost the same. Well, you're 44.
45 in November.
I thought Candace was 29.
Are you?
I am.
Are you 79 then?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
why we're
Yeah.
glowing over here. That's why
right.
we're glowing over here.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. Charlie led into that.
Yeah, Charlie. Why did you say that?
Yeah, no, I'm sitting here thinking, what a oh gosh, we're on the air. Somebody said off the air, and I almost said something I shouldn't have said.
Oh, take his mic.
No, I was sitting there trying to think what you would have been like with two 17-year-old girls, because I know what you were like with your son.
Oh, Stephanie.
Yeah.
She's bad.
Yeah.
She is tough.
Yeah. So
I would have been
mopping the floor with them. Yeah.
Completely breathing in a brown paper bag.
There's days where it's just like, I'm just going to move out. I'm just going to move out of my
They
own
can
house.
have
I've
the
got
house.
you far enough. You're on your own.
I'm
now.
like, the refrigerator's
You guys
full.
have it from here.
I don't have to go in there. But I am fortunate. I did raise 3 really beautiful children, really, very solid foundations and,
Awesome.
remarkable people. So I'm proud of them. Yeah.
Now, we can't help you on the hospital side. We can't say, hey, if anybody needs an MRI, here, let me give you a number
Yeah,
to call.
Stephanie's number.
Well, you can. You can direct them to Deaconess if you want to. I'm sure Deaconess would
Deaconess would appreciate
greatly appreciate
Well,
that.
go
Yeah.
have your MRI at night
Yeah.
at Deaconess. And
Just don't be a trauma.
ask for Stephanie Robles, especially if you think you're going to freak out like I would.
Yeah.
What I was trying to think of the other day when we were talking, well, I told you I'd had several scans, but I only had one MRI.
Yeah.
CT scans.
That's probably, I think that's what we get. I was guessing in my head.
Yeah.
It was primarily CTs were probably your
Yeah.
jam at that time. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they only made me do one MRI.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So it happens.
One's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
enough.
you're not
It is.
kidding. You're not kidding. So, Stephanie, for real estate,
Yeah.
what's the best way to get a hold of you?
A best way to get hold of me is through my cell phone, 812-449-6565. You could also find me on any of the social medias. I'm super easy to find. Stephanie Robles. Just drop in, send me a chat, send me a text, call me, and we'll work it out. Yeah.
Heard a little bit of that Maryland accent.
I know.
Call me.
Yes. People confuse my accent with Maryland a lot.
Oh,
David.
Oh, yeah. I can see how that would happen.
Southern
yeah.
Maryland. Very Southern Maryland.
Way down there in Maryland.
That little tail.
Yeah, close to the Virginia side. Yeah.
But it is weird about how you can drive 7 miles to Henderson
Oh, it totally changes.
and the accent's totally
Oh,
changed.
completely different.
No,
yeah.
I don't. Well, they all sound the same to me. Anybody from Kentucky? I know.
No, versus Indiana.
What about
no,
Indiana?
versus,
Do
versus
we?
Indiana.
Indiana and
Yes,
Kentucky, yeah,
that's where
very
he's a
different.
blind, just
Oh,
because-
yeah.
Oh, yes.
Just
I
right
thought you
across
meant
that
like
bridge.
I thought you meant like Henderson and Owensboro. Yeah. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Candace, how can they get a hold of you?
They can reach me on my cell phone at 812-455-6338, or they can call the team phone, which is 812-430-1708.
She didn't have to
She got it. Yeah.
David, what's the best way to get pre-qualified?
Pre-qualified, I'll do the hat trick.
Okay.
Cell phone.
Okay.
Now, I liked what Stephanie said there, too. You can look me up social media. David Crow, branch manager, Churchill Mortgage. I'm at Google, we mentioned earlier
Yeah.
at some point. So, but the best way is call or text, cell phone 270-222-0676.
And Charlie Butler, you can reach me, of course, all the social medias too. But 812-499-7758. And remember, we can't sell your house, we'll buy it. Jordan, you said it's time to go? Gosh, there's no time to talk about your girlfriend this show.
You're welcome, Jordan.
Stephanie talked so much we couldn't, but anyway. So,
I'm competing with David. Yeah.
well, there's a big hill.
I'll get there one day. Yeah.
So for Candace DeArm and Stephanie Robles, Stephanie, again, thank you.
Thank you for having me. This was an absolute pleasure.
And David Crow, Jordan Rose, this is Charlie Butler. Have a great Sunday.
You've got real estate questions but don't know where to get the answers? Tune in here every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. as Charlie Butler, Evansville's own real estate expert, shares the latest news, info, and insider tips to help you make smart real estate decisions. Find him online at charliebutlerteam.com. This program has been paid for by the Charlie Butler team. From the Kate Foppel Ford Studios, this is Newstalk 1280 WGBF.